And that is going to end the race. The field is frozen, and as long as Bobby Zalinski can come back under power in the last lap and a half, he will be your winner.
But Chris, back to you. Will we see 10 different winners?
We are going to have our 10th different winner.
This one I feel good about. I'm rolling the dice on this one. This is really, really exciting. Not only do I think there's going to be 10 different winners this year, I think there's going to be more than 10 different winners. And with the playoff format that we have, somebody is going home without a playoff berth with a win.
We may have one of the smartest driver panelists on our team right now, Chris Overland, predicting the future right there. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Countdown to Green, refreshed by Coca-Cola. My name's Amy Long. I'm joined by Brandon Cattell, Michael Guerrilla, and Chris Overland. How are you, gentlemen?
I was right. I did it. How much did I win?
Somehow he was right. The one time.
We'll give you some bragging rights, Chris. That's about it. The road to $300,000 for the top 40 oval racers, sim racers in the world continues as we head into round 11 at the virtual Road America. But first, breaking news in the iRacing world as NASCAR and iRacing.com announced today a new partnership agreement granting the developer the title of official simulation partner of NASCAR. The deal elevates a decade-plus licensing relationship to official partner status. How about it, gentlemen? Exciting stuff.
Yeah, this is really cool. I look back at when the Coke Series first started in 2010, and just to see the partnership between NASCAR and iRacing and how it's grown over the years, it's just really cool. Chris, Michael, I know you guys have been on the service for a very long time. How do you guys feel about this?
Yeah, I joined iRacing in April of 2010. I was young, 14 years old.
You're old.
No beard. No beard. And now, look at us now.
Yeah, look at y'all. Y'all have been around for a decade plus, and I'm just hanging around here.
Hanging around. Yes, very excited to be a part of these two great organizations and looking forward to their future. Now to a man who's reflecting a little bit. We're going to be talking with Ray Alfalla a little bit later on. He is getting into his 200th start this weekend. Really excited for that. But before we get into the action on the track tonight, let's look back at last week's round 10, where Bobby Zalinski and Latar Esports survived numerous green and white checkered starts and won at Pocono Raceway.
Network, let's go racing at Pocono.
More cars coming down onto pit road from the top 10 by the looks of it. Michael Conti flashing those. There's Bobby Zalinski. Ryan Schoenberg has not come down pit road, but Brian is pushing it to the outer limits, even past. Three drivers up in front are the drivers that have stretched it the longest, including Zach Nichols, Brian Schoenberg, and then a little bit in behind Matt Busa. We are under caution from Pocono, but it just looked like Ashton Crowder kind of sailed it in and just kind of got that thing a little bumper hook. And it is a traffic jam at the end of pit road, and Bobby Zalinski is going to come out with the lead.
Yellow flag out once again, incident further back, and it's the 24 machine of Jake Nichols of Mode Motorsports that's around.
We will go to a little bit of eNASCAR overtime. We got a caution on the speedway, and it closed up really quickly around Kane Cook. Three wide behind, and we're wrecking behind. We'll go one more attempt at this, and
Yellow flag is out though.
And that is going to end the race. The field is frozen, and as long as Bobby Zalinski can come back under power in the last lap and a half, he will be your winner. 10 winners in 10 races. Bobby Zalinski on his first win of the season in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Well, look who it is.
Hey, we got Ray Alfalla in the booth with us right now. Ray, you're rocking the 2005 Martin Truex Jr. I don't know what you call it, beard, I guess you got going on there, man. How you doing, bud?
Pretty good. Just doing some last minute studying here, looking at guys' laps and trying to study inputs and all that good stuff.
And tonight marks a milestone for you this week tonight. Ray Alfalla getting his 200th start, more than anyone in the series. How does it feel? Still doing your homework. Great.
Yeah, I feel kind of old. No, everybody says I'm old, but I think I'm in my prime, and I still got a long way to go. So bad news for everybody that thinks that I'm getting close to done. So I don't know. I've been here for this is my 12th year, and I still enjoy the competition as much as ever, and I'm still hungry.
Well, Ray, this is going to be a little bit of a long-winded question for you, but I did quite a bit of research here. 200 starts is a big deal. So I did a little comparing, and it's actually pretty close. Pretty much well regarded as the best NASCAR driver, the GOAT of NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson. He got his 200th start at the age of 31. You're 31 for another 2 days. He had, at that time, 124 top 10s. You sit at 121. He had 27 wins. You have 26. So unless you win tonight, which, I mean, come on. But do you think you're the GOAT of eNASCAR? Do you think you can take that crown?
I mean, I just let the numbers speak for themselves. If that's what they say, then so be it. But I mean, I still have a lot to prove. So everybody's out here. There's a bunch of new guys every year, going for the crown, and I haven't won a championship in like 3 years, so it's been too long already.
I mean, I guess you're right, but I'm coming back next year, so you're not going to win another one.
Okay, we'll see about that.
All right, I'm going to let them stop hassling you now, Ray. Congratulations on a milestone start. We're rooting for you tonight, and good luck out there.
Congrats, Ray.
Thanks.
All right, thanks so much to Ray for taking a moment to talk with us. Great to have him on here. Countdown to Green. Here are your driver playoff standings as we head into round 11. Brandon, your thoughts here.
Look at all the names in this list right now, guys, as we sit here, as we head into our 11th race of the season. We've got a lot of just names. It's everywhere. We've got Bob Bryan up here. We've got Vicente Salas, the rookie, and we're still yet to fill that 10th playoff spot. So we've got a lot going on, and we're only the 11th race of the season. We're getting down to crunch time. Oh, there's just who's gonna fill that 10th spot? There's just a lot going on.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Unless Steven Wilson gets a victory, it's not going to be him, unfortunately. There is just too much going on, too much parity, too many different winners, too many people coming out of the woodwork at different racetracks. I mean, we've got guys who ran really, really well at the Circuit of the Americas who aren't Bobby Zielinski and Mitchell DeYoung.
That's
so,
right.
I mean,
Jimmy Mullis ran really good, Chris. That's very right.
Yep, that's true.
All right, here's a look at team standings as we start one race into the second half of the season. Michael, things are really cooking up over at Stewart-Haas.
Yeah, I mean, they're quietly just riding along in the top 10 spot. They've been creeping up little by little. I mean, last time we looked a few weeks ago, they were just hanging on to the fringe of the top 10, and now they're solidly top 5 right now with a few points over Clickerman Sport and Roush Fenway Racing. So these guys, Graham Bolin, Dylan Duvall, they're slowly growing their lead in the points here and trying to close up the gap towards that top 5.
Yeah, as far as last week, I said 23-11 could go on a roll if Mitchell DeYoung just starts performing like Keegan Leahy. And Mitchell DeYoung got a top 5. Keegan Leahy wrecked. These guys are not getting away. If we just get a string of bad luck, look at second all the way to 6th, separated by 29 points, just waiting for 23-11 to fall down the ranking.
Yeah, that's a good point there, Chris. And, when I look at all the names that are in the playoff standings or the team standings right now, it's a bunch of the same names that we've seen all year. One of the biggest asterisks, though, I've seen is Latar Esports. They just keep easily climbing the ladder. And with Bobby Zielinski's win last week, that's just one more extra, I guess, point you could say, just for them to keep on gaining towards this top of the list here. So we've seen the same kind of team names all year, but we've seen just some steady change in the last 3 races.
Yeah, also weighing in on team standings and joining us here on Countdown to Green, Marco Maru, co-founder and chief operating officer of XSET. Thanks so much for being here. XSET has been off to a fast start this season. How did you get involved in the series?
Yeah, so, we're always looking at what we think of as new and emerging sports and esports in the space. And we felt like with the success the series had last season, and with the teams really doubling down on it and its watchability as an esport, which is really a key factor for determining how likely it is that an esport's going to grow, we felt like sim racing and eNASCAR were a very watchable experience. So we wanted to kind of put our hat in the ring and bring in a few racers and kind of and really reach that NASCAR audience.
And how did you decide on Casey Kerwin and Ryan Luza, two really recognizable names, as your drivers this season?
Yeah, so I mean, we're really happy with both Ryan and Casey. They're really terrific people first, right? And then they're also obviously great drivers and sim racers in their own right. I mean, XSET is a gaming organization that has 8 different esports teams. So we're not only in sim racing, we're also in more traditional games such as Valorant and Rocket League and CSGO, Warzone. So when we were looking at drivers, we really wanted to find hopefully drivers that were not only good racers, but also kind of fit in with the culture that we have as a younger organization. And, I think Ryan has really fit that mold well for us. And then Casey, with his reach on Twitch and his streaming presence and his activity there, really demonstrating what the future of eNASCAR and iRacing can look like, when he's pulling, as many viewers almost as a broadcast on his own, right? So it's, really 2 young, vibrant drivers that have a good career in front of them. We wanted them to grow with our organization, so.
Well, Marco, we noticed on the back of both of your Ford Mustangs in the Coke Series, you have a special hashtag, and that's called Rep the Set. That's your hashtag that you have on the back bumpers. Can you explain what that is and how that ties into the fold of XSET?
Rep the Set is really kind of our tagline as an organization. It's, for people that like to represent XSET and what we're all about as a culture and as an organization. That's generally how people refer to it, is they want to rep the set, whether it's merchandise that they want to wear, sticker they're going to put on their car, a player or a racer they're going to cheer for. Like generally people are Ryan and Casey are always going to rep the set for us. So, just really representing our brand and then really who we are.
Well, you mentioned culture earlier, Marco. As far as XSET's concerned, do Ryan and Casey interact with your other athletes in different sports?
Oh yeah, 100%. Ryan is not only a very accomplished sim racer, he's also a very good gamer as well. So, we have regular in-house events where we bring everybody in that compete with each other, and Ryan is generally at the very top of that list when he's playing games like Valorant and some other titles. He really kind of has his way with, dedicated players that play those games religiously. So, Ryan is a very, very good gamer, a good guy. And then Casey, with his streaming and with his Twitch, does a lot of really cool things. He's involved with a couple of side races, and he does, he's always one to engage with his audience. So, I think, he is a great example of what you can do if you really want to build an audience for streaming with iRacing on Twitch. And Ryan is, if he ever decides to retire, I'm sure he could find a career playing pro Valorant maybe with our team.
Marco, you guys currently sit second in the team standings right now. What does that mean to XSET as a team?
It means a lot. I mean, it really means honestly, it's the reason we got into the league, right? Is we wanted to win a championship. We wanted to get drivers that we felt, were a good fit for the organization and good people, but also could help us, potentially win the series. And when we signed Ryan, we knew that. And when we signed Casey, we knew that he was an up and comer. So I felt like we placed 2 really good bets on these guys that we're hoping will stay with us for a long time. And yeah, I mean, like I said before, we've bounced up in, anywhere from first to, maybe 5th or 6th is where we've kind of gone. And right now we're sitting at second, and, getting a chip would be a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. Marco, thank you so much, and good luck tonight and throughout the rest of the season. Now, before we get to tonight, though, gentlemen, let's not forget those Pocono recaps that we just talked about. Brandon, your takeaways from the Tricky Triangle.
Well, thanks, Amy. Pocono, that was a crazy race there at the end. But I look back and I really see the momentum starting to build for some of the teams and the drivers in the series. I look at Bobby Zielinski, Ray Alfala, the guys that are really good. They remind me of Tony Stewart in the summer months in the Cup Series back in the day. you really start to see the momentum and how they're starting to peak at the right points in the season to make the playoffs and hopefully lead into a championship run like you see Tony Stewart did back in the day. So that's the biggest takeaway I see at Pocono, and that's really leading into the final races here of the season. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, as far as you brought up Tony Stewart's run in 2011, it's gonna be a little too late for some of these guys because right now, winning a race doesn't guarantee a playoff spot anymore. Ray Alfala's coming. He's flying through the field. We got a guy second in points, second in overall points, who isn't guaranteed a slot in the playoffs. It's not guaranteed anymore. Now you might have to win 2. You might have to have a ridiculous run, and if you don't, you're more than likely out. It's gonna take a lot.
Yeah, and what would that be like if he went on his 100th start too? That would be absolutely incredible. Michael, your takeaways from last week's race?
Yeah, it kind of piggybacks off of Chris, what he said, and I'm basically saying that the playoff door is kind of closing for some of these guys. We talked about it with Steven Wilson. He doesn't have that guaranteed spot due to the fact he doesn't have a win. So that's really important. And the fact that Bobby Zalenski kind of ate up a spot last week. We weren't really expecting him to perhaps take the win at Pocono so much as we were expecting him to be competitive at today's event at Road America or the likes of Watkins Glen later in the year. So he ate up a spot earlier than what we were expecting him to do. And it comes down to this graphic when we look at it. I mean, highlighted in yellow, those are your race winners and how they stand amongst the top 30. And then you see Ray Alfala back in 25th. He's still got a sizable gap coming back to that top 20 to secure a playoff spot once he gets to that bridge where he needs to pass likes to Blake Reynolds, Jake Nichols, Nathan Lyon, Jimmy Mullis, all those guys, even to get a chance into the playoffs. So, and Ray hasn't been the greatest in road courses the past few years. He's struggled with likes of the Roval and a few other tracks like Sonoma, and Road America might be the same story today. But so he's got today to tackle at Road America and Watkins Glen later between your 2 ovals. So he's got a long hill to climb.
And, you know, I really want to talk about what we've got to see here out of these two leading the points without wins, Steven Wilson and Michael Guest. They've got to win their first career race. They have to win their first career race to make it into the playoffs, and they're sitting second and third in the points, and I just find that absolutely insane. We've seen Corey Vincent win races before, Casey Kerwin, Matt Busa, Nick Ottinger, last year's champion, hasn't won a race. I mean, anything could happen. Ray Alfala could get into the top 20 in points, and then next week somebody wins and he's back out.
Yeah, incredible snapshot of the season right there. Thanks so much, guys. But we are currently on back-to-back races, but before that, I'm sure many of you are just counting down the days for eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Countdown to Green. We missed you guys too, but some of the drivers actually made it the most of their mid-season break, and they made it out west. One of those drivers being Logan Clampett, driver of William Byron Esports, who's joining us now. Logan, we caught wind that a few of you and your fellow Coke Series drivers got away for some birthday festivities. Where'd you go and how was it?
Well, a few weeks ago, we flew into Vegas and drove up to Utah near Zion and Bryce Canyon and whatnot. And we stayed there for about 4 or 5 days or so. We hiked a lot. It was super pretty. I've never been to Utah. Just the scenery there is super awesome and everything like that. And it was out of the iRacers, it was me, Nick Ottinger, Michael Conti, Matt Busa, and Ryan Luza all went, and then we had a few other friends go as well. But then after about 5 days or so, we drove back down to Vegas, stayed there for 2 nights, which was really fun because I turned 21 the day we flew out. Being able to go to Vegas and have some fun and stuff, you know, it was a really cool experience. And you know, I gambled $100. That was my limit. But you know, that is all part of the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody remembers their 21st, Logan. So I got to ask you,
I don't.
How was Chris? How was the food out in Las Vegas? And tell us a little bit about some of the eating habits of some of the other drivers you went with.
Yeah, we had really good food throughout the whole trip. We went to a few restaurants. We actually did go to Gordon Ramsay's pub Ryan's a little bit more picky about his food. he did the 3-course meal too, but he didn't eat everything. Like his beef Wellington, he was like, "Oh, what's the mushy stuff inside?" It was mushrooms, and he just didn't like it. He's more of a chicken tenders, French fried burger type person, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, some people are just picky eaters. That's quite all right. He doesn't know what he's missing out. But gambling and the food, I'd say he hit it all. And I'd also say the best competition is among friends. So it's cool to see all those guys hanging out. Well, we asked you guys and you delivered. I love all the drivers who are out there showing off their sim rigs at home by tweeting us a picture using the hashtag eNASCAR and tagging iRacing and NASCAR. Here's a look at some more rigs for the archive.
Is that carbon fiber?
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah.
I like the little microphone holder in the background there. That's cool.
Yeah,
Shout out to you, Adam.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Wow, look at that Formula One cockpit right there.
Where is this?
CRX.
This is an army barracks or something.
This is cool.
Yep, this was sitting from an army barracks. That was amazing. Very cool to see.
This must be some sort of VR rig, judging by the cameras. I like the blue. I like the blue trim on the GTR seat.
The good old
Zach
STP.
Sullivan's got it going on.
Petty blue. James,
Okay, I like
with,
it. It's
with
on
the regular desk and the regular wheel setup. I used to have one of those.
You know what? Jeff Gordon told me this last year. Make your bed, James.
Oh man, I go way back with Greg Wellen. This looks like it's autographed by Jeff Burton.
Yep, that's a great
This is
signature
awesome.
to have too. I bet
Look at
that
the
comes-
button box.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Hey Greg, how you doing?
Look-
Okay,
look-
bunch of green going on
look-
here. J.
lot of
David
green.
Rich, monster.
I'm really liking J. David Rich. It's great to see a smile in there too. That's a great looking spot.
Oh wow.
We got a
What is
box
that
of
seat
bananas.
on?
Hey, he's got the seat belts. The
Going
seat
bananas.
Yeah, you
belts.
gotta be strapped in. He's going bananas.
He's going bananas.
That's awesome. Mario Kart not so lucky. Maybe iRacing it's better.
Okay, this is a lot more sophisticated than bananas, boys.
Wow.
Wow, that's a
This is-
Porsche factory driver right there. I
This
mean, you
is-
can tell by the seat.
Yeah,
Do you
this
think
got to
this
be
might be in
race
the
shop,
factory?
definitely.
It probably, honestly.
Yeah.
That is too
Incredible.
complicated for me. Now this is more my speed. This is Ray Alfala with a horse helmet on, circa 2013.
Wow, this is old school. Do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
he was winning championships on this style
It's
right
the
here?
COT, so yeah.
Man, makes me feel a lot worse about my driving. But check it out. I got a surprise for you guys. This is my 2013 setup.
Wow.
My Logitech Driving Force GT, my CRT monitor that I won the Pro Series Championship with. So just for all of you out there who think that you can't win sim racing championships and anything without spending thousands of dollars, man, I was broke.
Huh.
But
That's a
you
great
didn't
looking
win.
rig though. Great setup. You
I
gotta
won
start
a Pro
somewhere.
Championship.
Gotta start somewhere. I love it. And I love it when all of you want to be a part of Countdown to Green. Tweet us a picture of your rig. We want to show them off during next week's show. Use the hashtag eNASCAR and tag iRacing and NASCAR. Later on, he's going to be giving the command to the race here at Road America. But before his Grand Marshal duties, the co-host of Scalzo and Brust on ESPN Milwaukee, Ben Brust, took a moment to chat with us. Here, Ben, you host some shows on ESPN Milwaukee, and you have some roles with the Big Ten Network. First off, that's awesome. And also, can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, pretty fortunate. I host a dual market Madison and Milwaukee ESPN radio show across ESPN Wisconsin called Scalzo and Brust from 4 to 6. You can catch live on the ESPN app or wisconsinondemand.com. You can catch any of our shows on podcast, wherever you get it, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, you name it. Wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, you can find it. So love talking on air Monday through Friday, every day about what's the newest in Wisconsin sports. And then I do some TV stuff on the side with the Big Ten Network and hopefully some other ventures this coming year. But I love being a race fan and getting to watch Road America races in person or virtual. My favorite racetrack, hands down, I've been to a lot of different racetracks across the country, but the 4+ mile road course in the heart of the Midwest is my favorite, and I'm not just being biased.
Yeah, amazing. Also, one of my favorite tracks, too, out there in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Tonight, round 11 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series takes on the twists and turns of Road America, and for that, we turn to Michael Gorilla for track analysis.
Yeah, Road America is a long one. We are just over 4 miles in length here in Wisconsin. 4.05 to be exact, with 14 different turns, including the kink coming through down to turn 11, down towards Canada Corner, which we're going to see a lot of heavy braking zones and a lot of drivers who might be overdriving off into the runoff traps. There's a few of those with sand traps and runoffs to where there can be some stack ups, especially on the opening start. So expect to see a lot of heavy braking zones and a lot of passing zones coming down from high speed straights.
All right. Isn't there a corner named after Cattell?
Yeah, kettle bottoms, right?
Yeah. Oh, hey, man.
Just throw some extra L's in there, and there you go.
Kettle bottoms. All right, yeah, definitely looking for the excitement and an exciting round 11. Let's get the picks from our panel of drivers. Brandon, your comeback is complete. So we start with you. Who do you think is going to be the man in victory lane?
The king has fallen.
Thank my sponsors and everybody's kind of been behind me there.
I fell off.
Michael, get it together, man. It's the Gorilla curse now.
Yeah, I guess so. But as we go into the picks tonight, I think, man, what about expanding this lead since I've got such a good lead now? And what if I just go and pick the obvious winner tonight? I picked him to win COTA. He didn't win COTA, but Bobby Zalenski is going to win tonight. He's the GOAT at road courses, man. He's going to do it.
You know, you sound like a lot of people who go to bed at night. You're sleeping. You're sleeping. That was the worst joke. You're sleeping on Jimmy Mullis. Jimmy Mullis should have won COTA. He kept Mitchell honest the entire race. He was within a couple tenths throughout the entire race. Fell behind on the strategy a little bit. Got a little complacent with where he is. I think Jimmy Mullis gets it done tonight.
Hey, listen, before we go to Michael's pick here, Bobby had damage that race, and that's the only reason why he didn't win. So
we got a chance to get some damage out here.
He did keep up. Bobby did keep up with Mitchell. He did match him a few times at COTA, but I'm going to go with the guy who won COTA, and I'm going to get back at the points lead with this pick of Mitchell DeYoung. He's going to get it done in the Dr. Pepper Toyota Camry. He's going to really get ahead of Bobby going in the first few corners, and as long as he survives those first 6 or 7 corners, I think it'll be a duel between those two. But I think Mitchell's going to come out on top with his experience at Road America.
Well, these are not
talk about that Dr. Pepper car. That's an amazing.
That's a nice scheme. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great scheme, and I really like all these picks. Like that you're all different. We'll see who pulls ahead next week. Do you think you're going to be able to keep your lead there, Brandon?
I'm going to make sure he doesn't.
It's not happening.
Probably not, but we're going to try.
I like it. Hey, it's
Jimmy,
all about
turn Bobby.
Yelling at them in their car. I think they might be a little bit busy while they're qualifying right now. We'll see about that. But remember, fans, we always love whenever you want to get involved here with Countdown to Green. Tweet us a picture of your sim rigs. We want to show them off during the next show. Use the hashtag eNASCAR and tag iRacing and NASCAR. For everyone behind the camera that brings this show to life, and for Brandon Cattell, Chris Overland, Michael Gorilla, my favorite panel of drivers that we have. Chris Overland, if you want to predict some more futures, I would love to hear that. I think all of us would. Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on Countdown to Green. Fans, get ready. Round 11 of the 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series is just around the corner. Thanks for tuning in to Countdown to Green. Enjoy the race.
We've learned to savor the moments that were always there. And they never tasted this good.
It doesn't matter where you're from, who you grew up rooting for, what you grew up watching, your home track, your favorite car, the series you've always wanted to race in. When you're ready to know what it's like, we're here, bringing you as close to the action as it gets with the ultimate sim racing experience. With a community of hundreds of thousands just like you. This is iRacing, and here, every day is race day.
I am chaos, in a good way. I am everything you want to see at once. Coming at you like a comet on fire. I am bumping, banging, and battling to the finish.
It is all on the line
Because if you can conquer this series, you can conquer anything.
That was some intense racing.
I am the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. I am NASCAR.
Start your engine!
This is our series, where the stakes are always higher, where virtual meets reality. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Yeah, look at my shine with the blow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like Paul. Time's right, and I know the sea is walking in the limelight. Promise you won't wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high risers, high tide. Might drown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
The road to $300,000 makes a debut trip to America's National Park of Speed, where tonight from virtual Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 11 of the 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And happy that you're with us, as always, on a Tuesday night here on the iRacing Sports Network and streaming live at eNASCAR.com. As always, my name is Evan Pasoko. Tim Terry not with us this evening. So happy to be joined by Blake McCandless in the broadcast booth. Blake, thanks for hanging out.
Well, thank you for having me, Evan. Really looking forward to this race. This is going to be a really difficult racetrack for these drivers to get around. A lot of tough spots watching practice. A lot of these drivers really struggling at a couple of spots. So interesting to see how these guys handle it.
New tracks left and right, and tonight going to be an interesting challenge as we get set for our second road course race of the season. Of course, the big news coming into this evening, we talked about it on Countdown to Green, is that iRacing is set to become the official simulation partner of NASCAR. Now, iRacing has been a licensee with NASCAR since way back in 2010, but this deal elevates that decade-plus licensing relationship to an official partner status. Here's what NASCAR Senior Vice President and Chief Digital Officer Tim Clark had to say about it. Of course, notably at the bottom, NASCAR partnering, designing new tracks, new cars, and compelling digital content. Blake, we've talked about a lot of the cool partnerships that iRacing and NASCAR have been working in collaboration on all year long. The first thing that jumps to mind for me personally is that virtual race on the streets of Chicago for the iRacing Pro Invitational Series. Of course, that project working hand in hand with NASCAR to see if that could work out in real life.
Well, you see the results of it, Evan. Everybody, entire industry-wide, are excited about what this partnership can mean. I know personally, as someone who's pretty selfish and a customer here, I'm looking forward to the research and development, getting better race cars, getting better racetracks, and new cars and new racetracks have we seen. So I know just personally, I'm really looking forward to this partnership and everything that it can provide, not only from a spectator's perspective, but also from a racing perspective as well.
And racing is the main story tonight. We're getting set to go racing for the first time in series history here at Road America. So let's go trackside and hand things off to co-host of Scalzo and Brust on ESPN Milwaukee. It's Ben Brust for the most famous words in motorsports.
Been waiting my whole life for this. Drivers, start your engines!
Let's go trackside. Take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid for the 4th time this season. Mitchell DeYoung is on pole position. It's a 2-minute 6.799. He will lead us to the green flag alongside Nick Ottinger. Of course, Bobby Zelensky, always at Exeter Road Courses, looking for his first road win of the year, starts 3rd alongside Wilson. Bolin, Conti, your top 6.
And looking through this order, looking at somebody like Jimmy Mullis, really needs the points right now to get back into that top 20. We know he's going to be awfully strong. He came off a 2nd place at Circuit of the Americas. I know a little further on back, Casey Kerwin, another driver who did very well at COTA. And looking throughout this field, Evan, this is what I think makes this race so interesting. Obviously, we know the heavy hitters that are out here at the road course, right? But these drivers that are right around that top 20 cut line, could they get a win advancing to the playoffs? It's going to be very important to watch this midfield battle.
I see some Klingerman sport cars middle of the road. You're right, that mid-pack battle. The drivers who don't necessarily excel or race on these road courses outside of this series are the drivers who really need to fight hard to get a lot of big points tonight. Ray Fallon down in the running order. Career start number 200 on deck this evening. More big names, including some vets, and Gorlinski and Boosa back at row number 18.
A lot further back than we would expect some of these drivers to be. Another veteran tonight, Brian Schoenberg. I know, obviously, Ray Alfala making his 200th start tonight. Brian Schoenberg making his 175th series start tonight. Going to bring up the rear of the field.
Qualifying so important, though. Prior to Mitchell DeYoung's win at COTA, Bobby Zelensky had won the 6 previous road course races in this series. Mitchell looking to start a streak of his own tonight. Blake, you're dialed up with the driver, the 23.
And Mitchell DeYoung, first off, congratulations. It's not only a pole at a road course. You've just been dominant taking these poles this season. What is the secret to all of these tracks? It seems, doesn't matter what type of track we go to, you're up front.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying's been great this year. I don't really understand why either, because I actually didn't feel too great in the Pro Series in qualifying. So I guess just things are clicking, you know. I've had a lot of practice here under a lot of pressure with Pesk and whatnot, so I guess we're kind of used to the pressure. But yeah, no, it helps a lot starting up front.
All right, Mitchell. Well, we'll go ahead and I'm ready to watch the best in the business. Get after it tonight. Best of luck to you, man.
Thank you, sir. Do my best.
All right.
So he will start for the front position. He did so in his win at COTA earlier this year. The big story in 2021 has been 10 different winners in 10 different weeks. Could DeYoung snap that tonight? Of course, we'll have some unique onboard perspectives with all of the drivers in the field here this evening on these road course races. Blake, it's always so fun to see what kind of wheel setups, what kind of shifters, and all of those different things that they've opted to work with tonight. That will be our best perspective right from the driver's seat over the course of this one. But it's a debut trip to Road America. Talk us through this one with a look at a race analysis.
We'll take a look at this right now. Obviously, a 31-lap race, so only 125 miles. Relatively short, but again, with how much these cars have to slow down and brake for these really tight corners, obviously going to take some time. Pit lane delta, that's one thing I'm really looking at tonight. Obviously going to be a one-stopper with that 14 to 18-lap window, but that pit road delta, 30 seconds, will be interesting to gauge once this field kind of has their legs under them, spreads out a little bit. Be interesting to see kind of where all that shakes out, and do we see a little bit of strategy on short pitting or long pitting?
Due to be an exciting night, Road America as well. We'll have plenty of time to talk about it over the course of the night, but such a great racetrack for so long, produced amazing racing through the lengths of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, with COTA being added to the schedule. 3 road course races, Blake, in 2021. 2 of them are new. We saw what Austin, Texas had in store, and this should be a good one.
It really should. But again, I love the familiarity with this racetrack. We know watching the NASCAR Xfinity Series, this can be a great show. But with these cup cars, high horsepower, low downforce, these guys are flying into these corners. And by the way, if you're on our camera crew, go ahead and get set up for turn 1. We saw what happened to COTA. I'm interested to see what happens tonight.
Mitchell DeYoung has got a front row seat as the pace car looks to pit road. He led 34 of 34 laps at his win at COTA earlier this year. The last 5 Coke Series road races have been won by a driver who has led every single lap on the throttle to the start-finish as we say, let's go racing at Road America. Good jump for Mitchell DeYoung to turn 1. Looks like Ottinger clear for second as well. The fight for third on back. Zelensky on the inside of Wilson. And Zelensky wins out in that battle. For the moment, we talk about how those mid-pack drivers are the drivers who could really stand to benefit, right? Just get out of this one with a good points night as your top dozen or so have single-filed out, and the scrambling begins with Ryan Lewis a little bit further back, but Zelensky on the inside trying to force a pass up the inside of Ottinger. They'll make a run down through turn 6.
And how about Nick Ottinger having this wonderful qualifying run? We see a little bit of smoke go and one car off the track, a bit of a lockup. This is one of the corners we were looking for. It's Michael Conti that's got off the racetrack. A beautiful paint scheme on that car that harkens back to his former series championships. But this is what we were afraid of, Evan. While everybody's packed up, you have these tight braking zones, cold tires. That's exactly what we thought we would see. And unfortunately, Conti falls victim to it. Let's see if he maybe had a little bit of help rolling off track there.
And see maybe a tire off track as well for the 46 of Jimmy Mullis, who started this race in the number 7 position. He has slid down to 13th spot. And we talk about comparing the road course races we've seen this year, Blake. This racetrack pretty much the antithesis of what we saw at Coda. Coda had basically every runoff paved. Here, not the case. You take a step wrong, you're either in the grass, in the sand, or worse, into the fence. So these drivers have to be very disciplined. As we take a look back now to Ottinger, continuing to defend P2. He was able to fight off that initial challenge from Zelensky. They'll come through the final couple of corners here. The right-hander for turn 14. Then they'll go up the Road America straight back to the start-finish line to complete lap number 1. But second, third, and fourth, real tight.
And it really shouldn't be that shocking to see Nick Ottinger running this well. Former series winner back at Watkins Glen several years ago. As we take a look, watch what Ryan Lewis is going to do here. We see this stack-up effect happen right up this hill into turn 6. And you see you barely missed that braking point. There is no way to stop these cars. They don't like to stop. They don't like to lock up. And unfortunately, he gives a little punt to Michael Conti, loses a couple spots, and he'll have to get back on track. And that was probably some significant damage for Ryan Lewis on the nose as well.
And that's why it's so fun to watch these cars, because they aren't made to drive at a track like this. Of course, you have the likes of Zelensky, the likes of DeYoung, who do a lot of road racing, even at a world championship level here on the iRacing service. It's not a direct translation, knowing how to drive a sports car to a stock car, but you do get those fundamentals, and I think it also gives those drivers quite the upper hand to try to figure these things out. You mentioned Nick Ottinger, of course, a road course winner in the past, back in 2015 at Watkins Glen, working hard for second as Mitchell DeYoung is starting to run away with this one. He's opened up a 1.5 second advantage early here at Road America, just working now lap number 2 of 31. And with these road races, Conti goes off for the racetrack. If this was the NASCAR Cup Series race, Blake, maybe a caution flag at a restart. You will not see that here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, so those mistakes hurt that much more. We saw Jimmy Mullis have a bit of a moment. Here's a second look at that one. I mentioned a tire off. It was all 4 tires off, and in the sand, looks like that may have been the left-hander turn 6, where his issue was, and that cost him a couple of spots from the get-go. The 46 back pointed the right direction, but down from where he started now, P11.
Well, and for Mullis, that's a very tough thing to see. Obviously, right behind that cut line, sitting 21st in the point standings right now. You need every point possible, and with the fact that you said we don't get caution flags in these races, so if Mullis goes off, that probably costs him 4 or 5 spots. It will take you several laps in traffic to make that up. Keegan Leahy, you see another mistake. This is what we thought we were going to see. This track, like you said, Coda, a lot of runoff, not the case here at Road America, and I think we're seeing a lot of bent back bumpers, Evan. He may have had help, and you know what? Survey says, I think Ashton Crowder has a bent nose. That may have been the two that collected each other.
Not a coincidence, right? When somebody's got back-end damage and another car's got a bit of front-end damage, and a bit of brutal irony for Keegan to have the issue in turn 12 Canada Corner on the back half racetrack. But he keeps it on going, and tonight's going to be all about those mistakes. You are going to work really hard as we take a look at the replay in this incident. So hard to get a couple hundredths, to get a couple tenths, just to lose 5/10 tenths of a second in a single quarter. And you can see, at least in this instance, he goes off the track on his own. Additional left side damage comes when he gets the tires, Blake, but he did have bumper damage going into that corner. So clearly there was contact at some point, and maybe that is affecting the handling of his race car. Mullis continues to be in the mix. He's still P11 ahead of Casey Kerwin and Zach Novak. 3-way battle for 11th, 12th, and 13th.
It's a nice little battle shaping up right here. Again, Mullis on the charge. know he was really fast and obviously trying to make up a couple of spots. He's got his Richmond Raceway Esports teammate of Zach Novak behind him. Another big move here for Taylor Hurst, goes off the racetrack. My goodness, Evan, I know we talk time and time again about how good this series is, how these drivers are so skilled. You see Conti into the gravel. My goodness, these drivers are using every inch of this racetrack, and I think that just goes to show what we might see on Sunday with this high horsepower package. They are flying into these corners. It's so easy to lock up, and I know a lot of drivers I was talking to pre-race, Evan, were talking about braking consistency being very difficult here. I think within the first 3 laps, we're already seeing that to fruition.
You saw Garrett Maines also get off of the racetrack just a little bit there, looking back towards the front of the field. Bobby Zelensky maintaining that 3rd position, so no changes early in this race for positions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's there on the back where you'll find some of the shuffling. I know we had Ben Brust on as our Grand Marshal this evening, one of the best, I think, pre-races that we've had all year long, and Ben, I want to thank you again for doing that for us and sticking around to chat. Clearly, you're very passionate about motorsports, if that command was any indication. I just got to ask where that passion has come from.
You know, it's funny. I hated motorsports my entire life until my brother-in-law made me sit down on a Sunday when football was on. I was like, why aren't we watching football? And he just said, sit down and watch the race. And I was watching a NASCAR race, and I started asking questions. And I was like, well, why is the back end going out? Or, you know, why is he moving up the track? And I learned, you know, loose and tight and all the different terminology. And then you learn so much goes into building these race cars. And I caught the itch. And I really caught the itch when I was a senior in high school. I went out to Santa Monica, California to train with the agency Wasserman for basketball. And I was in a hotel with 3 channels, CBS, Fox, and NBC. The Coca-Cola 600 was on, the longest race of the year, and I didn't want the longest race of the year to end. And that's when I kind of had the itch. Became a Kevin Harvick fan, was fortunate enough to become friends with Brendan Gaughan, who I've spotted in 3 NASCAR Xfinity Series races. I've been in turns 4, 5, and 6 for 2 years. Turn 2 and 3 area 1 year. So I what a rush to be able to spot at Road America. I was at my girlfriend's family party the year that Brendan Gaughan won the damn race, and I regret that day ever since because I'm not even with her anymore.
Well, tell you what, I think everybody needs an introduction to motorsports. We'll let you get out of here, Ben. I appreciate you sticking around and chatting with us. And best of luck with all things going forward. Appreciate you tuning into these as well. As we take a look to the 97 machine, that's one half of the William Byron Esports duos. Nick Ottinger was in 2nd position in his number 25 machine, but he has since trickled all the way down to P12. There was his mistake. It was off and into the heavy braking left-hander turn 5 down the Moraine sweep. All on his own, an unforced Blake. He gets into the fence, and you talk about your conversations with some of the drivers headed into tonight's races. Michael Conti looking to make a move on Mains. Won't happen. Nice throwback look with Michael Conti and the WR1 Sim Chassis Chevy for Jeter Motorsports tonight. But I'll even toss this question to you, of course, competing in the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series, trying to get up to this for 2022. Road America as a track, not just the fact that it's kind of the outlier because we only have 3 of our 18 races as road races, but just as a track, from a driver's perspective, what are some of the unique things and challenges about this track that these drivers are going to be facing tonight?
Well, the first thing I'll say, Evan, is that with this Cup car, if you're familiar with this track, it's the one thing I found. Obviously, a lot of us who have seen this track used in the NASCAR Xfinity Series level are used to your braking points, where you want to turn, how much horsepower is in the car. Well, guess what? You don't have any of that with this Cup car. It is so much different. It handles different. You can see Bobby Zelensky right now. We get a nice little onboard right here. Right here, Evan, is a really loose spot of this racetrack. You're having to lift more right through this section as we work through the kink going into Kettle Bottoms right there. Just those little nuanced things like that where you have that muscle memory down. This Canada corner, hard corner, you're braking before you hit those brake markers that you can hardly see on the left side. So I think that's what I take away from this, is that this animal of a track with the Cup car is just so drastically different than what we see in the Xfinity Series, and I think we'll see that throughout this weekend as well.
And of course, if you're driving a NASCAR Cup Series stock car, you're going to have a big circle wheel. You're going to have a 6-speed shifter, or the H pattern, I guess, with the 4 gears. But what I'm noticing about both these drivers, you saw it with Zelensky and you see it with DeYoung, is that, of course, with sim racing, you have the flexibility to exchange hardware. He's got his oval wheel, if you will, on the wall, and he's got the Formula wheel in use. So it doesn't, it's harder to go that hand-over-hand style, but with the turning radiuses, you can see he's able to keep both hands on the wheel at the same time, Blake. He's using the paddle shifters. Evidently, if you're looking for the most immersive and realistic experience, you're going to go with the stock car wheel and an H pattern. But if you're looking for speed, clearly the drivers up front figure it's Formula wheel and paddle shifters, because that is what both the cars running in first and second are doing.
That seems to be the case. I know you even think back to the NASCAR Pro Invitational Series. We saw James Davis, who dominated both road course. He had the same thing, an open wheel style rim on his wheel. But looking at that shot of Mitchell DeYoung, I mean, he looks just as cool as a cucumber. It looks like he's writing a work email almost as he's going around this racetrack, just smooth, so easy. But looking in the rearview mirror, Bobby Zelensky not exactly drifting away from Mitchell. If anything, he's actually keeping pace right with Mitchell.
Yeah, he's been able to maintain about a 1-point-second advantage. Let's welcome in the third member of our broadcast team. Justin Prince is with us down on pit road. JP, what you got?
For Stephen Wilson, he's reporting that he is tight everywhere around the racetrack, struggling with front-end grip for that 17 machine. He's been also saying if he tries to run the same line as drivers like Nick Ottinger were earlier, he is struggling to do so. But he also is reporting he's felt the best in the high-speed corners all week right now, including his preparation for this race. So it is getting a little bit better for him.
We talk about the unique point situation, Blake, coming into this race with 10 different race winners. Alfala, the question mark, still needed to make up some spots in the points for his race win to be eligible, and that puts that man, Stephen Wilson, in a very interesting position. He is the highest driver in the points without a win. If winning your in wasn't a thing, Stephen Wilson sitting P2 in the normal points, he would be very comfortable for a shot at the championship as we take a look back at the battle for 10th. But because he doesn't yet have a win, the pressure's on for that 17 team.
It is, and, you know, coming into this series as a rookie, I know I've raced against Stephen Wilson a lot on iRacing. Just somebody who is so calm, so consistent. It doesn't shock me that he's doing this well in this series. But like you said, it's the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. We love winners. That's something you're going to have to do. But that consistency has shown, regardless of track type, been able to work through the field, get track position when he needs to. And obviously, running in a position, Evan, I didn't think we'd see him in running in third.
He's doing a great job. Somebody else who's having a good run is Alan Bowes, celebrating his birthday this evening. 3-time race winner in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series out of Lima, Ohio. Big happy birthday to Alan. Driver for the McLaren Shadow team is running, as I mentioned, in a top 10 position at the moment, looking for his first top 10 2021. It could be a good birthday present, but Casey Kerwin wants to be the Scrooge and ruin the party. He was looking to the inside, couldn't make the move for 10th, and now the battle is going to be for 11th because Nick Ottinger trying to make up for all those spots he lost with that mistake earlier, trying to dig on the inside, just could not establish the positioning. And reset and try it again as they go down hurry downs into another hard-braking left-hander turn number 8, and they'll head off to the carousel.
Well, and how about Nick Ottinger here? Obviously, what we alluded to earlier with Jimmy Mullis going off track is how difficult it is to get through traffic. Ottinger may have a little bit more pace. You get a nice little shot of Casey right there. Definitely not blinking as he's trying to focus all that he can and hold off Nick Ottinger. But this is what we talked about. You can have a little more pace, but making those passes on a really tight racetrack, really difficult to do. There's a lot of braking opportunities to do it. But Ottinger going to have to be patient here as he tries to get through traffic.
Big change when you compare him to his teammate, Ryan Luzin, who's running 40th in this race after starting in 8th position, but all drivers have survived the opening 7 laps of this one, and that already puts us nearly halfway through our first field run of the evening. Because this race is just 31 laps, race is only going to be just a little bit over an hour, so it is kind of a sprint race, but just fuel mileage-wise, we talked about it in the ASUS race analysis, is Bowes now going to try to defend on Kerwin. but Kerwin's got all that speed on the inside. He'll make the run off into turn number 1 and make the pass. So that spot is his. Field strategy, not a huge question. Of course, if you're enjoying the action and want more information on the series schedule, standings, and even how to become a driver in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series one day, log on to iRacing.com/eNASCAR for more information, Blake. And you're somebody who knows just as good as anybody else how difficult that ladder is to get to this top level.
Oh, it's so hard to do. You got to think about how much time you got to put in, about a year or so to make it work. So it's very, very difficult. But, you know, every challenge is rewarding when you climb the top.
And of course, if you want to get in on the action yourself, if you want to race at this level, if you want to just have some fun, you got to start somewhere. And for more information on how to start your iRacing career, log on to iRacing.com today, where every day is race day. Still 40% off all new iRacing memberships. Certainly a deal that you want to get in on. We talk about new content, that fantasy Chicago street circuit that iRacing worked closely with NASCAR with as kind of a testing ground to see if a street race could work for the NASCAR Cup Series. Some newer tracks to the sim. Of course, you just saw NASCAR Cup racing at the Nashville Super Speedway. That track just recently scanned and added to the service. If it's on the NASCAR calendar, if it's a NASCAR series that you want to drive, it is available here on iRacing. Just watching some of these more mid-pack battles, let's ride around virtual Road America. It's Taylor Hurst for our Coca-Cola onboard camera. And in comparison to the 2311 Racing Toyota of DeYoung, the Letard Esports Chevrolet of Zelensky, I noticed with the onboard with Hurst, they're taking his right hand off the wheel to shift on the H pattern on the straightaways. We talk about some of the heavy hitters. Zach Novak quiet in this one. Look out, just nearly got run over from behind as bit of an evasive move was taken by Alan Bowes, locked it up down into the braking zone. That was the runoff into corner number 5, again through the Moraine sweep, where a lot of drivers have been overdriving it this evening. Of course, Novak looking to improve and return to that top of the mountain. Of course, Novak, the 2019 champion in this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, but has found himself battling just to stay at this level of competition over the course of this year. And in a mid-pack battle in the green, good stuff. Started 18th up to position number 12 as we look a little bit closer to the front of the field. Vicente Salas has been quiet tonight, but he's up 4 positions right now in a good battle with Corey Vincent for P5 and 6.
Corey Vincent quietly had an amazing run all the way back at Circuit of the Americas. We know Vicente Salas, also somebody that you can't sleep on when you go to these road courses. And these two have kind of separated on back, about 3 seconds back of kind of that battle for 3rd and 4th. So you really have 2 packs of 2 cars right here. And Vicente giving a little bit of a tow here to Corey Vincent. That is something that you could see Vincent, the little shake of the head. He's frustrated. Something obviously isn't going right, and you see Vicente contrast, just very focused as they try to head towards turn 1.
He clearly didn't like the exit he got off of the final corner there, off 14. It's a long straightaway, so you need that momentum through the corner anyways, but especially with the up added into that. If you're a little bit slow off of the corner, it's going to be exemplified that much more. And lost about a car length or so on the straight, made most of it back up through turns 1, 2, and 3. And he obviously wants to make a move. These drivers have followed each other through the field. They started 9th and 10th. They run 5th and 6th, respectively. So clearly Vincent has had enough patience to not feel like he needs to force the issue with the 55. But both these drivers making moves early in this race. That's exactly what they want. Back in that battle for 11th position, Nick Ottinger ahead of a 2x2 fight between Zach Novak and Garrett Lowe. Lowe down on the inside. That's the number 21 Ryan Spin forward for the Wood brothers. On the 90 machine, it's the Richmond Raceway Esports entry of Zach Novak through turn number 6. Garrett Lowe, Taylor Hurst, also Michael Conti, not that far out of this exchange. There's the onboard look with Novak.
Well, you see Novak, he is working that race car. You can obviously see doing a lot of work as he nearly gets into the back of Garrett Lowe. That is close quarters here. And this is a long line of cars. You can see probably talking to his team. I'm sure not pleased at the moment is probably a good way to say that. But you have Conti, Taylor Hurst, Zach Novak, Garrett Lowe, even Nick Ottinger, who's kind of breaking away all in this line. And you can see that struggle that you have when you're behind another car, having to respect their space and not run them over. It's tough when you're back in traffic. And Novak was off-roading there for a little bit, as we've seen a number of these guys do over the course of the night.
That onboard perspective shows you just how tight things are as well. Blake Reynolds, somebody else trying to make some moves in the right direction. The number 66 machine running right now in the number 7 spot, Justin.
And he said on the radio he felt he got lucky missing incidents at the start of the race. Right now, their focus for that team is backing up their corners and being super conservative. They want to be able to stay on the racetrack. That's the focus for Blake Reynolds.
And focus is the key. He is up 7 positions from the start of this race, so doing a good job thus far. Only one driver has been down pit road. That is Brian Schoenberg to this point. Of course, we talk about drivers with career starts. And Alfala making his 200 tonight. Schoenberg making start number 174 this evening. So a driver up there with the likes of Davies, Conti, Ottinger. No shock that those are the drivers, the staples and the veterans of this Coke Series. Having a good run to this point. Conti continues to hound the number 9 machine. I don't remember how that 9 car, or the 8 car, I should say, sorry, Blake, lost all those spots at the start. Remember, he was P6 and then he got sent off and into the grass. But I thought he was able to get a couple more back after he went off in turn 6 and 7. But he's been slowly creeping forwards. There's a dive to the inside on Novak. He's back to 14th. Still a far cry for the P6 spot he had on the grid. But Conti trying to make up for that early race contact on the opening lap.
And that's why those little mistakes add up at the beginning of the race, right? You go off track, you lose 10 spots. It takes you almost the whole race to make that back up. And obviously, Michael Conti, very accomplished, obviously a former winner on road courses in this series. So no shock that you make that mistake. You obviously got to shake it off, look forward, and do the best you can. And obviously, Conti trying to get up into the top 15 as this battle is still raging on, Evan, between Vicente Salas and Corey Vincent. They have not left each other alone for the last handful of laps. And Vincent, at the moment, just can't find a way around the 55.
Doing his best. Hasn't been forcing issue, but I think certainly if Chente kind of makes a slip up and opens the door, Vincent's going to go through and try to make that attempt. Of course, Salas, a winner already this year from Richmond, when he became the first driver to lead every single lap in an oval race in eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series history. This is the group of cars, though, that you mentioned on the grid that's going to be important to watch. The mid-pack battle. The drivers who don't see these races as opportunities, but see these road course races as threats and just do their very best to keep it clean, find a good pace, and get out of here without either giving up too many points or at least getting a decent amount. And this is a great example of that as the battle for 5th is on now. It is Vincent to the inside of Salas trying to make the move. The 3 cars going to drive it inside by side in turn 3, but the 55 gets the fire off.
He does. The 55 holding strong as they go side by side. That goes single file. Of course, we had that battle with Ray Alfala, Blade Witt as well. They went side by side here recently, but we just can't look away from this style of racing, how close it's been. You see Corey Vincent all over Vicente right there, staying right on him, trying to intimidate him all he can. He may look to the inside here in turn 6.
Oh, almost a bit of a touch, and he is going to move, and the 55 is off, and Vincent into the grass as well. So contact in the battle for 5th sends Salas into the tires, Vincent off and into the grass. They will both right the ship. Vincent loses nothing. He'll stay 5th, but I wonder if there's damage now on the 55 as Salas now being hounded by Blake Reynolds.
Well, and Evan, guess what? Through all that, They didn't lose more than one spot. Obviously, Vincent able to make the move by, but they had such pace to them that they were still able to keep that 5th and 6th position. Obviously, brings Alan Bowes right into the fight as we look here at Jake Matheson. That long line of cars we were talking about earlier, Ray Alfalo was at the lead of it. Blade Witt got by him, had a little bit of drafting help that ended up losing him spots. But for Ray Alfalo, Evan, we thought Ford Time may have been out of this thing early in this season. He gets that huge win at Charlotte, and these are the type of races he needs to try and salvage every point that he can to try to hang on to that top 20, because obviously he's got a shot at the playoffs. Going from nearly last in the standings to the playoffs in just a handful of races, this is where that 51 has to hold on and try his best to keep all those points.
It wasn't that long ago we were talking about him being in the 30s and his concern maybe being just to fight for the top 20 to stay in this series for next year. He gets that win. He was a runner-up last week at Pocono. It has been a good 2 weeks for Ray Alfalo. Not race-winning speed here this evening, but he is in the green, looking to finish towards the top half of the field. Once again now, looking at the battle that is for 6 and 7. Again, Vicente was sent into the tire after just slight contact by Corey Vincent. Both the cars went off. Vincent ended up making the overtake for P5. Vicente fell down to 6th, and now Reynolds picks up the battle in the number 7 position. I think on pace, 55 is faster. But is that car damaged after the contact? We've seen some drivers get damaged and struggle to make their way back through the field. He looks like he's holding his own pretty good, but with pit stops not that far away, see if he can hang on to this spot for just a little bit longer. Rookie lap number 13 of 31 from Road America.
See if he can hang on a little bit longer. Oh, Matheson's off the track, and he is parked there, Evan.
Wow. I wonder if it was some sort of a hardware failure, because you don't normally see somebody go off of the racetrack like that then just stay there. So I think something indeed did break for Jacob Matheson, and that car just drifted off at the end of the front stretch, going down into turn number 1. And some sort of mechanical hardware issue for Jacob Matheson on his side takes him out of this race, running in 27th position at the time. And if it was a hardware failure, the positive thing is that nobody else was involved. At an oval track, you lose the screen, you lose the wheel throttle or inputs or what have you. Normally, you're not as fortunate. So a really unfortunate break for Jacob Matheson, who was scrapping for points. Only positive is nobody else was involved, and we'll take a second look on the right-hand side of your screen to see what happened as he goes off it into turn number 1. He's in the middle of a battle for position, and right there, see the wheel? The front tires lock all the way to the left, and he locks it up 100% on the brakes. I think he must have lost the wheel and throttle inputs.
Well, and lucky for him, he turns to the left, not to the right. If he turns to the right, that's perhaps taking Ray Alfalo and Keegan Leahy with him. And, I mean, he was then just maybe a foot or so of perhaps running into the back of Logan Clampett. So, like you said, Evan, unfortunate to see it, but fortunate that that Williams Esports Ford was the only one that was involved in that incident.
And a rough way to go. Williams Esports, of course, looking for some positives. They dropped 2 spots in the team standings last week down to 17th position. Jacob Matheson enters tonight 35th in the running order behind his Williams Esports teammate Zach Nichols, who entered tonight in a tie for 27th position. Let's dial up the driver of the 52, Blake, and find out what happened.
Well, Jake Matheson, tough break right there. I could see you shaking your head. What happened there headed into turn 1?
You know, I was following Clamp by Ray there, and as soon as I hit the braking point, wheel went numb, turned off, and just went straight. And because when your wheel disconnects, the throttle and clutch and brake all hold it at full, the car overheated and blew up. So really unfortunate way to end the night. I feel like we had a really good piece. We worked on it real hard all week. You know, I feel like when the long run came in, we would have been really good. But guess we'll never find out now.
All right, man. Well, sorry about your luck. We hope you can get back after it next time out.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
So that's Jacob Matheson confirming that it was a hardware failure, lost the wheel and throttle and all that on his sim at home, and caused that car to lock up take him out of this race. He'll be the second retiree of the night. Brian Schoenberg also has gone to the garage a little bit earlier as we pick out the battle for third position. Steven Wilson getting reeled in the last couple of laps by Graham Bolin. I don't think, Blake, we've talked much about that number 10 Smithfield Ford this evening, but he is putting in work, and he is putting in, I thought he was going to pit road there for a minute, thought about it, opts to stay out. It's about that time, a little bit early, 14 laps down, 17 laps to go. A handful of drivers towards the rear have already pitted. Derek Justice, Chris Shearburn, Ryan Luza. But still waiting on a driver towards the front of the field as you see more cars from the back down, led by Solis from 8th position. Mullis, Duval, Ottinger, all coming in. First drivers from the top 10 to seek service.
Well, and Evan, this is a play. Obviously, this is right before midway through the race, so the thinking is, hey, if I can pit maybe just one lap before that driver in front of me, if I have a really good in-lap, a really good out-lap, I can maybe take that position, get that track position, and this is what we're going to see the next 2 or 3 laps. You see Brad Davies, you see Nichols on the pit road as well. I believe that's Ashton Crowder back there. So a lot of drivers going to start pulling this strategy, and again, a lot of it is just who you're battling, what type of track position you have, but over the next 2 or 3 laps, pit road is going to become a very busy place.
About half the field is on pit road now, so if you're up front, do you make that decision? We talk about pace. Bobby Zalenski had kept Mitchell DeYoung pretty honest for the middle portion of this run, but in the last 6-7 laps or so has been able to open it up to 3.5 seconds, Blake. Do you see any benefit for somebody like a Zalenski to try to go for the undercut? We have about 3.5 seconds of fall off, fresh tires to old tires. It could make up that gap for him. Of course, won't solve the long run speed, but is that a worthwhile battle for Bobby Z here?
Well, I think it's about the only chance you have to make up those 3.5 seconds, aside from a mistake from Mitchell DeYoung, which we know how talented he is, Evan. The odds of that are very, very low. I think, Bobby, you have to at least try it. You'll be able to look forward this lap. About 3 seconds up, you'll see if DeYoung's going to head down pit road. If he stays on the racetrack, if I'm Zalenski, really got nothing to lose at this point, passing you. At least you try to hold him off, but I would see if he's going to try, well, doesn't put DeYoung. Your leader is heading on to pit road, and Zalenski's going to follow in tow.
The benefit of being the leader is you have the final say. If you pit first, you can't get undercut. So first, second, third, all down pit road as Wilson follows in. Graham Bolin from 4th stays out, and he will assume the race lead here at the midway point at Road America. So the iRacing drone follows them down pit road. Now your only concern is clean entry into the box. Get your 4 tires and fuel.
And certainly the case, and again, races can definitely be won and lost on pit road. Got to get into the box smooth. That line that is right in front of Mitchell DeYoung's and Bobby Zalenski's pit stall, because they're further forward, very difficult to speed off of pit road, so they'll get that launch. And actually, DeYoung going to have a little bit of a disadvantage from that first pit stall, but he gets down and away. Looks like pretty even times for both your race leaders. DeYoung is down and away, and so is Zalenski, but look at Graham Bolin trying to play a little bit of strategy here, at least get a lap led by staying out.
Some housekeeping notes as well. Malik Ray has dropped out of the race. We'll see if he's able to get back in. Another tough break for the driver who has had so many ups and downs over the course of this 2021 campaign. So Bolin at opportunity. He did lead at the start-finish line, which breaks the streak for Mitchell DeYoung. He had gone the entire 34-lap distance at COTA and the opening 15 laps at this race, leading in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And I know it's kind of a cheap way to lose it, but that is technically the first road course race that he has not led in his short but quite astounding career so far at this level of sim racing. The last coming into this evening 5 road course race in this series were won by a driver who led every lap. So Graham Bolin just messed with my trends for the sake of it, but he'll probably be down pit road pretty quick.
I'd imagine with that fuel window we looked at early in our ASUS race analysis, about 17 laps is pushing it, so wouldn't be shocked to see him come down pit road. I would be surprised if you would try to push it for fuel because you're not really gaining anything, so wouldn't be surprised if this Smithfield Ford Mustang would be pointed towards pit road.
And let's see as he rolls through turn 14, he'll look over to the right-hand side, is coming down to pit road. The drivers who have pitted, led by DeYoung, are currently 6th on track. So there's about maybe just over a half a dozen cars who have yet to come down pit road. Corey Vincent will come in from the number 2 position. Casey Kerwin also going to come down. He's running 3rd at the moment. This seems to be kind of the very end of it. Novak on the horizon there, diving down to pit road. Alan Bose still needing to pit. He is in. And that is pretty much all of the drivers. You still need Witt. You still need Alfala. You still need Doucette. But up front, that'll put a bow tie on the pit cycle, and Mitchell DeYoung has cycled through back to the race lead here at Road America. His advantage continues to be atop Bobby Zalenski. The gap between those two sits pretty much exactly as it was as they came in. Again, with DeYoung coming down pit road first, no opportunity for the undercut.
No opportunity either, but we'll leave Mitchell DeYoung as we complete our cycle of pit stops. We'll keep it rolling here from Road America. Mitchell DeYoung, Bobby Zalenski, Steven Wilson, your top 3.
Looking to become the first repeat winner in 2021, Mitchell DeYoung is on lock from Road America as we race to the checkered flag. You're watching the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series from Road America.
We've learned to savor the moments that were always there. And they never tasted this good.
I am a driver with a dream. And part of that dream is making all the doubters believe that my name belongs here. I may be new to some, but I am not taken lightly.
Oh, and now they're really going at it. Yeah, they are.
Because if you let your guard down, I will rise above. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I am NASCAR.
Coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And by DoorDash, proud sponsor of 2311 Racing. We're back live from Virtual Road America for round number 11 of this 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series campaign. Evan Pasoka, Blake McCandless at the booth, watching another dominant performance by Mitchell DeYoung. Came into this series as a road course ringer, having competed in iRacing, Road World Championships, and more. He has been good, though, across the board. A full-time Porcettle, a little bit of a slide, but let's ride with your race leader. A little bit of tongue out as well for the driver up front. Of course, you heard about it in Countdown to Green, but a historic night for the driver of the 51 machine of Ray Alfalla, making his 200th career start in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Entering tonight, he had raced in 199 of 201 races all time in this series. Blake, the resume is astounding. 26 race wins, 4 championships, and still not done yet. What an accomplishment for the driver of the 51 machine.
It is quite an accomplishment. When you think about how far, Evan, this series has come from every perspective, the reach that it has, the amount of drivers who are trying to qualify for this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, to have that type of an impact, to stay this long in the series, be as competitive as he has gotten so many wins. Honestly, you just have to give a tip of your cap to him, because it's one thing to be good for a couple of years, but to do it for an entire decade and to stay on top of his game. Obviously, there's just a lot of talent with Ray Alfalla, and see even a little bit of a different wheel, Evan, that I'm looking at that he's using. But regardless, a great accomplishment here. Obviously, running 32nd, not where I'm sure he would like to be running, but his staying power in the series is a testament to his skill behind the wheel.
Yeah, you saw that wheel. It wasn't quite a Formula wheel, but it was kind of flattened off at the top and bottom, more like a GT style. So that goes back to the conversation we had a little bit earlier. Let's take a look on board with Nichols, on with the 24.
Well, I know what that is, Evan. That is that's what we like to call a money shift right there. You see the RPMs going down, and unfortunately, you can't get that one back. So a little mistake there for Jake Nichols getting through the gearboxes, and looks like that's going to cost him his engine right there.
And, we talk about the differences. You can't do that if you got the paddles dialed up with Jake Nichols on the radio, Blake.
Well, Jake, obviously you're rolling along there. Kind of just walk us through what happened right there.
Just a mistake. Man, it's not been our year. There's just anything that could have gone wrong so far this season has went wrong, and I can't believe I made that mistake. I don't think I've ever done that, honestly, and to do it in this race when, we weren't running fantastic, but I didn't get to practice much for this race, so I think we're running pretty good in terms of expectations, but oh my gosh, there's nothing like going normal. You're about to, grab a gear, and all of a sudden you just hear the RPMs go all the way to the roof, and you try to help it. You try to immediately try to get it in gear and maybe prevent it, but it just went immediately. I can't believe I ruined a good points night for us, and especially considering how the last few weeks have gone for us with Charlotte getting wrecked out and Pocono, we were pinball late in the race, but I just can't believe I did it. Our mode media house Mustang was pretty good tonight. It ran good once we got going, once we got out of traffic, but just a dumb mistake by me. That's all it is.
All right, Jake. Well, we'll let you get back to it. Sorry about your luck, man, and hopefully it turns around in that Mode Motorsports Forward here soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Another driver with some issues in this one, dropping out. It appears that most of the drivers DNFing this one coming from similar mistakes to that. Equipment issues, driver mistakes, as opposed to large incidents. Most of the drivers that have had contact this evening have been able to continue on from that. Picking up a battle for 8th and 9th position. Some 29 seconds off of the race lead. Dylan Duval is chasing Blake Reynolds. Reynolds passed him just a handful of corners ago. But Duval doesn't want to let him get away as they make the run down to Canada Corner.
No, he certainly doesn't. As Duval trying to slide off, we've seen so many incidents out of Canada Corner. Just trying to do all he can to hang on to Reynolds. You want to stay in line with that toe. You could see probably 2 or 3 car lengths back. Even if Duval's going to kind of not be able to catch Blake Reynolds, you still want to be able to use that toe. It is definitely worth time when you're wrapping Road America like this.
And with no pit stops left, this is the home stretch. Mitchell DeYoung going to take 10 laps to go next time by. We'll step aside for a moment. When we come back, non-stop coverage to the end. You're watching Road America. It's round 11 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
We've learned to savor the moments that were always there. And they never tasted this good.
I am a season no one saw coming. Not that it's a bad thing.
I'm ready.
I am something none of you expected. And each surprise leads to one heck of a summer. Because this year, to make the playoffs, you better win, or you're not in. And one thing is for sure this season. I am not certain what happens next. And neither are you. I am NASCAR.
And back live from Road America, coverage of tonight's race brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And by Asus, the official gaming hardware partner of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. Your race leader, Mitchell DeYoung, just taking now 10 laps to go in this second road course race of the 2021 season. We talked about track position. We talked about passing, how easy it is to make mistakes, how hard it is to make up time. Well, passing has not been a challenge for your biggest mover of the night. Ashton Crowder started shotgun in P40. He was just one of 5 drivers, Blake, who opted not to take a time in qualifying. And the driver out of Charlotte, North Carolina, has driven his way all the way up to P20, and he wants more, chasing down Bob Bryant for 19th. But how about that in the middle of a Clickerman Sport duo?
I was just about to say, Evan, and it's been a long time coming for Ashton Crowder. Has just not had things go his way this year at the bottom of the standings for one way or another, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I know Circuit of the Americas ended up being in an accident, did not finish that race. So really, I'm sure this is one of those races, Evan, you're not obviously not having the year that you would like, but this is a real confidence booster for somebody who's really struggled this year. You see him continuing to move forward through this field, and he's doing that despite the fact, Evan, that he has a little bit of damage on his race car. So he's done a tremendous job just being patient and kind of just taking what the race offers him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, in the middle there, he does have to balance some aggression with patience because those teammates are going to make it as difficult on him as possible. Ronnie on board a little bit further up in the running order with the 38 of Casey Kerwin. You're looking up to the 8 of Michael Conti, Garrett Lowe a little bit further up the field. This is a battle really from 9th on back. It goes all the way up to Dylan Duvall in position 9. Ottinger in the mix as well. There's the onboard look left-hand side with Conti and Kerwin as this battle seemingly going to go the distance.
It very well might. Obviously, Kerwin, those last couple of laps, trying to hunt down Conti. He was better 2/10 that last time. Garrett Lowe, obviously, a little bit slower than Kerwin. Remember, Kerwin waited quite a while to come down pit road, so he should have that tire advantage. And you see the big slide out of Conti off of the corner. And Kerwin's going to use that side draft down the front straightaway, this long Road America straight right here. And that's going to be the difference. Conti has that draft, but that side draft pulls him back. I think Conti recognizes the tire deficiency. He's going to let him go.
Yeah, he decides to pick his battle. So Conti will drop down to a -7 on the night. As he drops back to position number 13. Of course, we talked about him having lost all of those positions, or at least a majority of them from earlier on in that contact. That I talked about that throwback paint scheme on board Conti's car tonight. That's throwing it back to a championship year. So good to see some of those classic Conti colors on board with that Junior Motorsports Chevrolet. Super cool. That team and the sponsor allowed him to do that and fun when some of these drivers can throw it back to themselves. We talk about the vets. We talk about all these drivers with, so many hundreds of starts over the course of their careers in this series. And Michael Conti, one of the vets, 4th on the all-time start list.
Well, I was about to say, Evan, It makes me feel old hearing some of these guys that have a little bit of throwbacks to themselves, obviously. But like you said, the staying power in this series to go across multiple tracks and different track types. Obviously, we have a lot of road courses now. It's a big deal as we're going to take a look here. Ashton Crowder making a move here. See exactly what happened. Believe there was a little bit of contact here. No, Bob Bryant off, and Crowder slides off. A 3-wide move there with the Kligerman Sport Chevrolets.
We'll put that one on you because you were thinking about how patient he was, and he just overdrove it a little bit in that left-hander for turn 6, which has been one of the crazy corners tonight. And those Kligerman cars went side by side. Of course, it was Anthony Burrows who had to jump into the car to make his series debut last week at Pocono. He is back in the car again, becoming the 212th different driver to ever start in this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
And Evan, let's talk about Anthony Burrows for a moment, because obviously coming into this race with undesirable circumstances surrounding Isaac Gann, which I have talked to Isaac in the last couple of days, his progress with his health situation is slowly progressing and improving. So first off, everyone here wishing the best for you, Isaac. But for Anthony Burrows, what an opportunity he has. Obviously was competing through the competitive ladder, gets the opportunity to get in this race, and he has nothing to worry about, Evan. He gets to run these races. Obviously, even if he was running top 5 every single race, he's not going to exactly have the opportunity to stave off relegation, being in the bottom 20 of the standings. But I'm just so excited for all the Walter fans out there to see how Anthony Burrows is going to take this experience, being able to prepare these race cars, race in this series where the competition is unlike anything else, and being able to debrief with a team owner and Parker Kligerman that's going to help him out. Really excited to see what Burrows is doing, and obviously moving forward. He's up 4 spots since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, wish you the best for Isaac. Hoping to see him back on the service as soon as we can. But, Anthony getting in on merit based on his finishing position through that Road to Pro Series last year, and was getting posed to race his way in for 2022 and give it a shot anyways. Garrett Lowe's been in the thick of things all night long, and finds himself in this battle with Conti, who lost a spot a lap ago, picks up a spot, now back down to 13th position as Garrett Lowe tried to make some moves, some patriotic colors as well. That explains the throwback for Conti, the different colors on the spin number 21 machine. Happy early 4th of July weekend to everybody. Enjoy seeing all those patriotic colors as that 10 car of Graham Bolin continues to pound the pavement back up into the number 4 position and trying to chase down Steven Wilson late in this race with now 7 laps to go.
And another situation, Evan, where we're seeing these differing tire strategies come into play. Obviously, Bolin elected to stay out to lap 16, come to lap 17, so he inherited the race lead. And this may be exactly what he was thinking. He saw Wilson pit. He thinks, well, I can have a little more pace. Let me get some fresh tires, pull up right to the back of him, and try to drive by. But right now, Evan, the last couple of laps, they've been exchanging about similar lap times, but Graham Bolin obviously showing his might on these road courses, running up here in position number 3.
They're in a class of their own, right? So you got the DeYoung and Zelensky duo that have pulled way away. DeYoung still 5 seconds ahead of Zelensky, and then these two kind of all on their own.
And you're exactly right. 15 seconds back to that battle for 5th for Jimmy Mullis. So these drivers have a lot of wiggle room to try and settle it amongst themselves. You see clean shifts right here. We obviously don't want a repeat of what we saw with Jake Nichols. But as this run goes along, Evan, it's something that I've been noticing all night long. The slide right here through the carousel. This is such a difficult corner. You can see the RPMs. You're just waiting to get back on the throttle. Looks like Wilson gets a little bit of a better exit right there. But as these, I love watching these guys as their tires age, going through these really tight sections. You see right there through the kink, the same thing happening as well. So I just love seeing these guys slide around, and another tough one in Canada corner coming up right here.
And I mentioned earlier that it's a bit of a shorter race on the stopwatch, but it does not mean that it is not a physical race. See Graham Bolin's onboard camera? It's still plugged in. He's just been working so hard on the wheel that he has shaken that camera loose and it has fallen off. So these drivers are working hard. Some of them look really calm, Blake. Some of them you can very clearly see how well they're working. I would put Steven kind of in the middle there. Looks a little bit tense. Maybe a bit of a sweat breaking out. You see the big sigh of relief. Could take an opportunity. Smiles for the camera. Resets, and he'll go at it for another lap. So that indication shows you that these drivers got to work hard at a racetrack like this. A lot of corners, a lot of opportunities to make a mistake. It leads to you being very tense for the whole race.
It does, and even still, Steven Wilson, he had some good posture right there. Sometimes drivers are kind of leaned over the wheel, may not have the best, but you can also see that you have to let loose a little bit. You have to have a little bit of fun. And obviously Wilson, I think that's the second straight race he's kind of given us a smirk or a smile or something like that in the broadcast booth. So obviously putting on a show for the cameras, putting on a show on the racetrack too. I mean, you could say, aside from our two road course just experts here, he's kind of running first in class right now.
Well, I want to talk about this car, Blake. This is a point that me and you talked about pre-race. This is the Dr. Pepper Toyota that you'll see on track for Bubba Wallace this weekend in 2311 Racing. It's the third or fourth time that a paint scheme for them has actually made its debut in this series. And if you're wondering, yeah, that's on the hood. That was a fan-voted design by the folks over at 2311 Racing. They let everybody on Twitter vote for their favorite design. The internet. So, of course, the one with the driver drinking the soda on the hood one. So, good to see those guys having some fun with it and getting some exposure up at the front of the field as DeYoung has just put it on a masterclass thus far.
Well, I'll tell you what, Evan, they picked a really good race to debut this paint scheme and to bring it out because they knew it would probably get a lot of airtime, a lot of attention with DeYoung behind the wheel of it. And great-looking paint scheme. I love that. I mean, just look at that. He's so happy drinking it. That's some good stuff right there. Amazing shot.
And the back of it says "Eat my bubbles" too. So it's all around good stuff. There's a shot of the bumper off of the corner, and of course for Bobby Zalenski, I mean, he had an unprecedented run as the king of the road courses in this series. Right, a 6-time consecutive winner from 2017 Sonoma all the way through the Charlotte Roval last year. Leading every single lap in 4 of those 6 wins. He is still calm and collected, but you have to wonder how, I don't know if irked is the right word or what, like the fact that Mitchell DeYoung has been able to come in here, as we mentioned, a world championship level driver in the road courses, just like Bobby, outside of this series. But now that the 23 appears to have gotten the upper hand over him for a second straight race.
Well, annoyed, frustrated, I don't know what you want to call it, which granted, first off, this race isn't over, but for Bobby Zalenski, I think we've looked to him as the road course guy for so long, but a lot of that pressure is lifted. He got the win last week out at Pocono, so he obviously doesn't have to worry about getting that win to remain in the postseason. But also, Evan, you remember we didn't exactly get the head-to-head heavyweight fight that we thought we would see at Circuit of the Americas. We go into turn 1, Bobby Zalenski gets turned around. We don't really get to see the DeYoung versus Zalenski show that we thought we would see. And so I was really looking forward to this race to see how it would shake out, who would come out on top. But it's clear maybe the torch has passed, if you will, as far as coming to these road courses and who we might expect to end up in victory lane.
And with all the different winners this year, and Zalenski having had so much success on these road courses, his win at Pocono so big because that's the difference maker for the playoffs for him. Here's an on-board look at Nick Ottinger, the run down to turn number 6 alongside the before turn 5. I say a little bit too hard in. Bit of a touch, gets into Dylan Duvall, moves him out of the way. Just one of many bits of contact we've seen all night long, and then you can see Kerwin try to find a way through, look low, whip to the outside, and the 41 machine defended. That was all a battle for 9th on back. But talking about these road courses, as we look back on the battle for 3rd, obviously they've become more and more important in this series, right? There was only one road course race on the schedule each year from 2014 through 2018. We've had 2 road course races each year, the last 2 years, 19 and 20. This will be the first year, though, Blake, where there's 3 road course races in this series. Now, it's not quite as extreme as the 7 of 36 you see in the NASCAR Cup Series. Road course races there making up about 20% of the schedule. Here, our 3 in 18 is only about 16%. But that increasing dependence on a driver to be versatile at ovals and road courses is really changing the direction of this series.
It really is, and you think of the feeder series, the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series, having to face the same thing as well. We're in round number 2 right now. Guess where the third track on the schedule is? Watkins Glen International. So it's something that even coming up through the ranks, it is a discipline that you have to do. I don't know if I'm thrilled about it myself, Evan. I don't consider myself the best road course driver in the world, but guess what? It's something that you're going to have to do to be competitive in stock cars, is to run on road courses. It's a skill you have to it's a skill you have to develop. And speaking of developing, how about Jimmy Mullis building a race after going off there early? He's gotten back up to 5th, gotten around Corey Vincent, which this is a good battle going on, but Mullis has done a tremendous job making up some lost ground.
He's doing a real good job of trying to keep himself in this conversation, try to score some good points. Comes into this evening 22nd in the points on the bubble for trying to stay in this championship, and could be eyeing, if he can hang on to P5, just his second top 5 of 2021. So that breakaway for 3 and 4, left-hand side of your screen, the battle for 5, 6 on the right-hand side. It's kind of funny that you got 3 sets of 2s up at the front of the field, and with 4 laps to go, if you've been saving anything, now's the time to put to it, because you're running out of time to make up for those last handful of positions.
That's certainly the case. We see another good battle happening right here. Nick Ottinger, Casey Kerwin. We just got kind of 2 3-car battles all over this racetrack, and that is what we're going to see at Road America on Sunday. It's why I'm looking forward to this race. And again, when you talk to these drivers, Evan, I'm not going to say that Circuit of the Americas wasn't a great racetrack to put on a great race, but when you talk to these drivers, they all say one thing in unison: they love this road course, and that's something that I feel like is pretty universal. The road course is great. The people out here in Wisconsin, when we come to these real world events, it's just awesome. The weather's beautiful, so everything about this event just provides a great show. And this type of racing that we see, Ottinger nearly gets wide there off of turn 13 and into turn 14. But Kerwin doing a great job trying to keep up.
And here is all the battles, 3rd, 5th, 9th on the screen as we keep an eye on what is going on towards the front of the field. Pretty impressive that you have this many battles for position in the top 10 early in this race. Wilson looks like he has the pace to maintain this advantage over Bolin and to maintain P3 finish there. The 10 car, though, the closest he's been all night, now with less than 3 laps to go. The left-hand side, that battle for 5th position. Again, Vincent the closer in this. Mullis has been defending. We'll see how that one shakes out, and haven't really checked in with 9th in some time. Last time we saw a battle for 9th, it was about 5, 6 cars in the mix. But clearly Ottinger and Kerwin able to separate themselves from the rest of the midfield.
Well, and mind you, Evan, these are the battles that we can show. We have too many to show in one shot. We're having a battle with 15th and 16th behind them. We're having a battle right now for 19th and 20th. I mean, they are just all over the racetrack here battling in these 2-car packs. You mentioned Vincent on the march, Bolin trying to do the same as well, and there's just enough of a tow here, Evan, that even if you're a little bit off pace, you have these long straightaways here at this racetrack that really provide that car that's 1 or 2 car lengths behind a little bit of an advantage to just keep up, even if you're a little down on pace. But interesting to see how these shake out and how a lot of these teammates in some cases, not teammates in others, kind of duke it out with each other.
Yeah, I think that's what makes a good track, is you have enough of those rhythm sections, but you also have those passing points, and you need those straightaways, the heavy braking zones for drivers to be able to draft up, to be able to maybe drive it a little bit harder on the brakes and make a pass. And to your point about all the battles, 26th through 31st are only separated by 2 seconds back in traffic. I mean, there is fighting going on all throughout the field in this one, and maybe some tempers a little bit late in this one. The driver radio chatter has picked up as we are inside of 2 laps to go from Road America. The Ted Machida Bolin continuing to try to close on Steven Wilson, but the 17 is not giving him much to work with. Same story in all these fights. Close? Will it be close enough? Look bottom left, the battle for 9th position. Kerwin thinks about it to turn 1. Not close enough, and not yet willing to sell out for it.
And the one thing Kerwin, Vincent, Bolin, they're trying to do, we can see them getting closer. Here comes Kerwin looking to the inside. They're trying to apply that pressure. They're making that driver in front look in their mirror, feel that intensity starting to build up here in the last couple of laps. You also have to kind of put yourself in a big picture situation, Evan. As much as you want that spot, you have to remember a lot of these drivers, Jimmy Mullis needs a great point stay. Obviously, Graham Bolin trying to continue in that fight as well. Casey Kerwin to the back of Ottinger, a shot right there. You got to think big picture right here, Evan. And a lot of these guys, well, don't tell them that. They're a race car driver. They want a spot.
He is all over him. Now through the left-hander, turn number 6. It'll be a right-hander for 7. They go to hurry downs to a tight left in 8, and then they'll head to the carousel. Kerwin was there, put the bumper to him, and credit to the 25 of Ottinger. He fought him off and survived it that time. But now that you've got the first bump out of the way, the rules have been established. Kerwin's going to put a bumper to him again if he can get there, and it might be a little bit more aggressive next time through. So Nick Ottinger needs to be prepared for that, and I wonder if it'll affect the line the 25 takes if he tries to be a little bit more defensive, looking for the white flag.
Well, I'll tell you what, Evan, if the rules have been established, I'm sure if Ottinger is within distance, if Kerwin gives him another bump, you got to make sure if you're Kerwin, you get away from Ottinger. You do not want to have that race car driver chasing you around as Mitchell DeYoung is taking the white flag.
He's taking the white flag and is running away with this one. His advantage sits at 6.2 seconds. It is the largest gap that he has had all night long. And what can you say about DeYoung? And off of the racetrack is the 10 of Graham Bolin. So was there a touch? I believe Bolin just overdrove it in the battle for 3rd and 4th. And that's going to cost him that opportunity.
Yeah, he was the driver that was on the charge trying to make a pass, but here comes Corey Vincent, the outside. Really tough position right here to Jimmy Mullis. He's going to have the preferred line here through turn 3. Great stuff. Mullis out wide. Vincent gets the spot.
In a small touch on the way through. What does Mullis do as he looks for the counter punch, looking to the right-hand side of the racetrack, thinking about it. How hard will he drive it down into turn number 5? Hard on the brakes to the inside. Here comes Jimmy Mullis. Tries to fight back. Vincent survives up top, sticks the back end out, and hangs on for now. In the battle for 5th and 6th position. Behind them, Kerwin side by side with Ottinger. They'll both overshoot the corner. Ottinger survives. He'll maintain P9. Everybody scrapping on the last lap with the exception of the driver at the front of the field. Mitchell DeYoung started on pole at COTA, got his first win in this series. There's only 32 drivers to ever win multiple times in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and in his rookie campaign, Mitchell DeYoung going to be number 33. Long run up the hill out of turn 14. A sigh of relief for another dominant performance. Mitchell DeYoung wins at Road America.
You see right there with the relief, Evan, you may think it's easy for somebody who has the pace that he has to just run out here and just not be calm, but trust me, I know from experience, when you're working with somebody that's at the front of the field, anything can go wrong, and I think you see that in the relief, the sigh you saw as he worked down the front straightaway. Looks like Corey Vincent going to get the best of this great little bounce that we saw between he and Jimmy Mullis. Corey Vincent will take 5th. Ottinger holding on for 9th. Kerwin with one last shot at him.
The best part of these road races is checkered flag can be out. These battles going to go all the way to the end. One last opportunity not going to happen. Here comes Garrett Lowe, though. He'll go to the inside of Taylor Hurst in a battle for 15th and 16th. Hurst uses all of the curb. He'll survive in that battle. Even further on back, the rookie Anthony Burrows trying to defend with Ashton Crowder and Logan Clampett closing in. He'll hang on for that off of turn 14. And that may be the last scrap. Even further down, Leahy, who had some issues earlier in this race, trying to chase down Justice. He's just far enough ahead. Gorlinski into the mix as well. Don't count out Shearburn, but I think these cars spaced out enough.
Spaced out enough right here, but Alfala with a long line of cars behind him. One mistake would cost 2 or 3 spots. A bit of a lockup from Shearburn is now they're side by side. This is the battle, Evan, for 32nd. Don't tell them that. Oh, they're going to touch.
They get into each other. The 18 machine pushed wide into Doucette. They are too far to have more contact. Look out, here comes Nathan Lyon. I thought he had the speed, hanging it out off of the final corner. Just couldn't get there. He'll have some fun with it up the hill as the last car on the lead lap. And breathe. What a final lap here at Road America. They saved some fireworks for the very end of this one, headed on to the 4th of July weekend, and what a story for Mitchell DeYoung, the first repeat winner in 2021. And how about 2311 Racing, the first team with 3 race wins this year?
They've done a tremendous job, Evan, in selecting their drivers, both Mitchell DeYoung and Keegan Leahy. Obviously, Leahy, a staple in this series, has been great for a long time, but it takes 2 to make these teams very competitive, and obviously Mitchell DeYoung able to just dominate and come to these tracks and know that you're going to have somebody to reckon with. And Mitchell DeYoung, I'm hearing he's out of fuel, and how about Bobby Zielinski? Powell pushing him forward. He's going to at least make it back to pit road. Won't be able to do a burnout, but some good sportsmanship here, Evan, from the 2 drivers that bring it home on the podium.
You talk about that. Obviously, Bobby Zielinski wants to be in that position, but clearly no animosity between those 2 as they have another great battle. Faster car won the race, and he'll give him the push up so that he can at least get to the front straightaway and maybe take it a little bit less fuel is why Mitchell DeYoung had one of the shorter pit stops in the field. Could have just decided to go with a little bit less just to make sure that nobody got too close for comfort in that run down to the end. And it won't be that exciting. He'll come to a slow stop on the front straightaway, but this winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Mitchell DeYoung, a 2-time winner in 2021. And for all the questions, Blake, with all the different race winners on is one win enough, for many it will not be. This is the first driver that is now 100% locked in with checkered flag number 2.
Of course, with the contingency that he stays top 20 in points. I have a feeling we have one more road course left on the schedule, Evan. With that kind of race to look forward to is a big points opportunity for Mitchell. You have to think he's about a lock, but again, it's not as easy as getting there because obviously we've seen at these ovals, we know DeYoung has been there. A lot can happen. But you know what, Evan? How about we do a double interview? We're going to talk to Mitchell and Bobby both at the same time. So, guys, what an effort you 2 put on, obviously being able to steal the show. And what a great show of sportsmanship there at the end between you 2.
Yeah, man, it feels really good to be 1-2 with Bob. Obviously, like, this is kind of the big battle that everyone's been wanting. We kind of got robbed of that at Coda, and no, I'm really thankful that we got to race it out here. No, it's super fun. I mean, I think maybe Bob can agree, like the real race is like in practice trying to beat each other constantly every single day. So it's cool to kind of get the result we wanted here.
Well, Bobby, I'll pitch it forward to you. Obviously, a lot of work goes into this. I know you and Mitchell both put in a lot of time to this. It's not just, we have the fastest pace. It's never that easy. How has it been having both of you to work with, obviously knowing each other really well and prepare for these races to keep pushing each other to be better?
Yeah, it helps a lot. I mean, I'm a better driver now than I was last year, even though I'm not winning these road races at the moment. But yeah, I mean, listen, this guy Mitchell is one of the best road racers in iRacing history. I mean, he's been a world championship winner or contender in like every road series he's done. So I knew it was going to be a really big challenge coming in this year, and I got to step my game up. And you saw it today. He had pretty much a 10th on me, and then he would be better at keeping the tires on it. Me personally, I know what I needed to do to fix that. I just didn't have time. So he's just been doing a better job. He had a little bit on me at Coda too, but this week was a bit more, as you guys could see. But yeah, I mean, he earns it. He works his butt off. And, you got to work hard to beat Mitchell. And still got another road race left, and hopefully it could be a little closer. I kind of screwed everything up by not short pitting him, honestly. But it was, yeah, I'll fix that next time.
All right, and you mentioned we have one more road course on the schedule. Who's going to win out of that? I feel like I have to ask you. You even thought about that yet?
Hopefully one of us. Like, that's the base goal because I always want to battle with him. Watkins Glen's like more the most oval road track you can get. And if you look at the 3 road courses we do, it's like it goes from technical to least technical in order. So yeah, we might just get our butts beat by Ottinger or something. So we're gonna have to work really hard for that one because it's gonna be really close with everybody. So I can't sit here and be cocky and say, "Oh man, I'm gonna kick his butt," because he has one over me, one clean one over me. So yeah, I'm gonna work really hard for it though.
I guarantee that. But Bobby, Mitchell, thank you guys so much for joining us. And Mitchell, congratulations on yet another win in this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. It's 2 for you this year, and on your career, congratulations.
Thanks, Blake. I appreciate it.
All right, as we move on from Mitchell DeYoung and Bobby Zielinski, obviously going to pull in somebody who loves smiling for the camera, Steven Wilson, able to hold off Graham Bolin, an exciting battle right there for third. Steven, how was it to once again, as a rookie, prove how dominant and consistent you can be in this series?
Yeah, it's great. You know, we came into tonight not sure if we would be able to run that close to the Coanda guys. They're just so good at these road courses. They're really hard to beat. But we did really good. I thought Graham was a little better than me in testing, so I just tried to hang on as well as I could, and we did a good job. I don't know. He probably was behind me, not able to see his line as well or whatever, but yeah, he was really good, kept the pressure on. Really happy to bring it home third.
Bring it home in third, but obviously one thing, Steven, probably the only thing you're lacking this year, you had the Rookie of the Year title pretty well in hand, or at least the leader in that, but one thing that's missing on this stout season that you've had is a win. Do you see an opportunity these next couple of tracks that we have coming up to maybe get that first win?
Yeah, you know, I've shown pace, honestly, to my own surprise, at every type of track this year. So hopefully I can just keep that going. I think eventually a win would be coming. It looks like playoffs are still possible. I know we have, I think, 3 or 4 races left for another winner, but I think right now we're still the 10th car in, but we are looking to win a race. I would say probably not Watkins Glen. I think we know who's probably going to be the favorite there, but New Hampshire, Michigan, 2 tracks that I'll be looking forward to.
Well, Steven, anybody you want to give a shout out to that makes this all happen?
Yeah, thanks to the guys at Rush Fenway Racing for picking me up this year. Thanks to the guys at Dead Zone for the setup. Houston, Dustin every week. This week, Graham gave me a lot of help, so appreciate him. Great racing with him. My Dirt Boys, Team BLR, they want a shout out too, so I figured give them a good old shout out. We love those boys on dirt. And yeah, thanks to you guys for broadcasting and great fun.
All right. Thank you very much, Steven Wilson, bringing it home. That rounds out our podium. And, well, Evan, we get a little bit of a first here. We get to have a little bit of a podium interview with 2 at the same time, and obviously getting to talk to Steven Wilson. But, of course, New Hampshire is the next track up on the horizon. Very tough one at that.
Hey, you talk about firsts. That's what a lot of these recent weeks have been about. COTA, a first. Road America, a first. Now we go to one of the staples. We've been racing here at New Hampshire since the inaugural year of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series way back in 2010. That will be an exciting race coming up in 2 Tuesdays' time. But if you don't want to wait till then, more COTA action is coming up for round number 2 of the eNASCAR International iRacing Series. It was the Belgian Simon Pilot who dominated the opener last week at Brands Hatch. You can catch tomorrow's race from COTA at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, streaming live at enascar.com/live. Let's take a look at our Coca-Cola move of the race tonight from Road America, and it was the push and the assist to Bobby Zielinski at the end of the race, at least letting Mitchell to get back to the start-finish line so he could have what for us has been the most anticlimactic Coca-Cola winning moment of the race, but at least an opportunity to celebrate. I think we really need to take a moment and just appreciate the talent that we're watching with the 2 best road racers in series history being able to go back and fight with each other in this championship and to have great sportsmanship along the way amongst those 2.
Absolutely, and of course, kind of shades of Jimmy Johnson and Chase Elliott there, bringing back some memories in that as well.
Well, let's take a look at your full race results here tonight from Road America. The final margin of victory for Mitchell DeYoung, taking home the checkered flag in this one, 6.6 seconds ahead of Bobby Zelensky and Stephen Wilson in third. Big thanks to those drivers for chatting. And as you mentioned, talking to Stephen, continues to be the best driver without a win thus far, doing the big things for the folks over at Roush Fenway. Graham Bull and Corey Vincent round through the top 5 with Jimmy Mullis, Vicente Salas, Blake Reynolds, Nick Ottinger, and Casey Kerwin, the top 10.
Well, and Michael Conti, a solid run in 11th. Dylan Duval, he really needed this, as well as Zach Novak in 13th. Garrett Baines as well needs to stay in that top 20. This will go a ways to helping him in 14th. Taylor Hurst, Garrett Lowe in 16th. Alan Bowes, Brad Davies. How about the rookie, Anthony Burrows? Walter getting it done. He finishes in 19th. Ashton Crowder, Evan, rounds out your top 20.
Continuing on to that midfield battle that saw some of this come down to the last lap. Clampett, Bryant, Witt, Busaluza through the top 25 with John Gorlinski, Derek Justice, Ray Alfala, Chris Shearburn, and Keegan Leahy, the top 30.
And tough run there for Leahy. Michael Guest been very consistent this year. This is going to set him back a little bit in 31st. Tough year for Doucette and Olot continue, as well as Nathan Lyon started in the back, never quite made his way up. And then, Evan, a long list of DNFs. Jake Nichols and Zach Nichols, Kane Cook, Malik Ray, Jake Matheson, and Brian Schoenberg.
So look top to bottom at your full race results. Michael Guest not happy at the end of this race. There was a couple of drivers who didn't like how this one shook out. But the big takeaway is we finally broke the streak of first-time race winners. The record will stand at 10 in 10 weeks. And I don't know if that'll honestly ever be topped. It took us till this year to top the 2010 record of 7. But Blake, moving forward, you have your first repeat winner in Mitchell DeYoung. He continues to be a favorite with Watkins Glen on the horizon, but there aren't any of those road course races in the playoffs. So these drivers have to feel like they've got a shot at him. And you heard Stephen Wilson, bubble driver, P10 right now because Alfala doesn't have the points he needs yet. That could change. There's obviously pressure for a win, and with races in this regular season running out, it's going to be a wild run to the end.
It really is, and like you said, Evan, 2 ovals left for these drivers to really try and make their mark. Obviously, we have an all-star race. That's going to be really fun to be a part of, but like you said, those opportunities to get those wins are just running out for these guys. It's going to get more intense, and then obviously we get playoffs. Then we got to have relegation on the horizon, so it just never stops no matter what spot you are in the field in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. There's always something to race for, which is why it makes it so much fun to hop up here in the booth with you guys.
I say there's only 7 weeks left. A lot's going to happen over the course of those 7 weeks.
Yes,
I encourage
for sure.
everybody at home to tune in and join us for those. Of course, if you want to get in on the action with iRacing, every day is race day. Go to iRacing.com for more information, up to 40% off a new iRacing membership. But until next time, that is it for us here tonight from Virtual Road America. So on behalf of our entire team downstairs and for the broadcast team tonight, for Justin Prince on pit road, for Blake McCandless, and to myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Mitchell DeYoung, a 2-time winner in 2021. We're back in 2 weeks' time on Tuesday, July 13th for the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That race and every race of the 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found exclusively here on the iRacing Sports Network and streaming live at eNASCAR.com. Until next time, good night from Road America.